What is going on, FA Nation? John and Pepe here with Howard Bender. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Game Day Playbook Preview Show. We got 12 games here on a Tuesday. Howard, my friend, how we doing, man?
I'm doing real well, actually. Had a really nice Monday. A lot of betting going on, a lot of DFS stuff going on, and we're recording this a little earlier than usual, so I'm not sure exactly how the games have all turned out, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in here. I promise you that this preview show will be shorter than the last preview show that James Grande and I did. You guys can check that out on the YouTube page. It was a good old time there. But John, not nearly as tasty as Slate. Like, we get 12 games here for the Tuesday slate.
Yeah.
And it's still not nearly as robust or fun as that Monday 9-game slate was, but I think we can find some guys here.
We certainly can find some guys here, and we appreciate you all tuning in. You want to hit that like, hit that subscribe button, freeway, to support the work we do here over at Fantasy Alarm. And again, we'll be back live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, myself and Henry Wilson, to break down this 12-game slate a little bit further when we have the official lineup news, some weather alerts, and all the good stuff there to answer your lineup questions. So again, you don't want to miss that show at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. But taking a first look, I did the live stream with James Grande last week during Garrett Cole's season debut, and we talked about the merits of Garrett Cole, the pricing of Garrett Cole, and how far we thought he would get in that game. He threw just 62 pitches. He was $9,000. Now, he is $9,200. He has a start under his belt. If Garrett Cole gets a longer leash, we're talking about a guy that should be a $10,000 price tag pitcher here. There's some definite value to be had if you think he continues to get extended here, Howard. So I want to get your thoughts on Cole's initial return, and where does he rank now among these top starting pitchers? Joe Ryan gets Arizona, Seth Lugo home against Miami, Reynaldo Lopez on the road against St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think, Lopez against St. Louis is a nice little matchup there. I don't want to tempt fate with Joe Ryan against the Diamondbacks. They always find a way to kind of screw me when I go out either for them or against them
right
at times. Lugo's in a great spot here against Miami. There's no doubt about it. They saw Cole Reagans on Monday. So now what are they going to see in Lugo? And it's just good strikeout potential. I think Lugo had like 8 Ks his last time out. The funny thing about Cole is that Cole, and he threw 78 pitches in his last rehab start. And according to manager Aaron Boone, who told Jim Bowden personally that he was probably wasn't going to go over that pitch count in his first outing. They wanted to, not so much ease him in, but they wanted to maintain like a very similar workload. And so they shut him down, at 67 pitches. Just because of that. That's just the way the game was going there. Facing the Mets is a lot different than facing the Baltimore Orioles. So knowing that he threw 76 pitches in his last rehab start, 67 this time around, I don't see why they don't try to get him up to at least 90 pitches in this matchup here. So yeah, for having all that strikeout potential, win equity, everything that you want going for the for Garrett Cole, 9,200. I'm more than happy to pay down. Instead of going for Lugo, save $400 and get Garrett Cole. I'm fine with that.
A guy I haven't been able to get right yet this year has been Mitch Keller. It feels like I finally buy in. I play him against the Cardinals. He gets hit. He just faced Cincinnati at home, shut them out over 7 innings and 7 strikeouts. Now they're in the Great American Small Park here. Thoughts here on Mitch Keller at 9K?
I mean, tough spot to be in. I hate using pitchers right after they've faced a team. It was like one of the things that we talked about on the Monday show was, Chris Bassett and Tanner Houck had just faced each other in their last start. And so that there's obvious familiarity between the two teams. So in this case here, there is familiarity between, NL Central rivals. It is in Great American Small Park. I feel like, if I'm going to, I'll pay for Garrett Cole at 92. I'll pay for Seth Lugo at 96. Okay. I don't need to worry about what Mitch Keller is going to do in Great American this time around. I get it. Maybe I'm passing up a little bit of value there, but there are a couple of pitchers further down the list who I kind of enjoy.
Yeah, let's break into the AK tier. Opposite of Mitch Keller in that game is Hunter Green. Again, he just faced Pittsburgh. He also shut them out 6 1/3 innings, had 9 strikeouts. We know the story with Hunter Green. If he's not walking anybody, he can be pretty damn effective on the mound in terms of his strikeout potential. Got him at 86. Mackenzie Gore, sort of the same thing as Hunter Green here. If he can kind of keep the control down, we've seen some pretty high strikeout games. The Padres are not a great offense against lefties, but they don't strike out a ton. You have Bobby Miller going up against the White Sox. Yu Darvish off the IL against the Nationals. Tyler Anderson up to $8,200 against Oakland, and Gossman getting Boston there. Hunter Brown also rounding out the AK tier. I know where I want to go here, but where are you going?
I know where I want to go as well. I'm willing to see what the Padres do on Monday night against Patrick Corbin. Even though it's Patrick Corbin, he's a gas can.
Yeah.
But the Padres have struggled against left-handed pitching. Fernando Tatis Jr. who's out all weekend. They say he was available to pinch hit on Sunday, but let's see if Tatis is back in that lineup there before we start diving in. I get it. Mackenzie Gore's good strikeout numbers, and you want to grab that. But I'm actually, you know what? I'm looking at, Bobby Miller in his last start, his first start back, was going up against the Rockies in Colorado. Yeah. So I wasn't really that thrilled about that outing. The fact that they let him throw there, the way he got, beaten up a little bit, I'm okay to still go back to the well against the White Sox here for Bobby Miller. I think at 8,500, that's pretty good. But Hunter Brown at home against Colorado is where I look at you. Go, don't you touch Brandon Fogg.
I didn't mean to. It's a misclick. Hunter Brown is exactly who I wanted to go to as well.
I mean, listen, all right. So, I put Hunter Brown in the stock watch like 2 weeks ago, stuff like that. If you track what Hunter Brown has done this season, 9.78 ERA in April. All right. Then he had a 3.42 ERA for May. Then I don't even remember what he did in his, what his ERA was down to for June in his last outing. But going into that outing, he had a 1.42 ERA in June. Strikeout rate is up. So against the Rockies in Houston, I'm all about using Hunter Brown. He's finally delivering everything that we thought he was going to.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I was fumbling around looking to see if I could find my Hunter Brown autograph card on my desk somewhere. My desk is full of just collectible cards and boxes everywhere. So, I listen. It was his first 6 starts. He had an ERA almost 9. Over his last 8 starts, his ERA is under 2 or under 3 rather. So, definitely turning into an elite pitcher. K per 9 around 10. Home against Colorado. This was my favorite pitcher of the slate.
Yep.
When I did a first look here, was my number one initial plug. And then it's really what do you do and where do you go around it? If you wanted to spend up, I think you're right. We could go Lugo, Reynaldo Lopez, Cole in tournaments for sure. The mid-tier certainly has some interesting guys. I mean, it seems like most starters against Oakland are chalky. Tyler Anderson putting together a heck of a season here. Yeah. 2.48 ERA. The A's are a weird team from an ISO perspective. They hammer left-handed pitching. They're a top, I think, 5 or 8 team in ISO against lefties this year. None of the other numbers look spectacularly great against them, but a lot of power against left-handed pitching. But Tyler Anderson at 82 felt pretty good for a 12-game slate. If you can go sort of double mid-tier or mid-tier spend down at starting pitching, it's going to help you spend up and get some good bats in your lineup.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, listen, we're going to throw Hunter Brown in there, the mid-tier area there where we want to go. I mean, we could look at, at Keller, we could look at Gore. I get the whole love for Tyler Anderson. He's just, he's still just Tyler Anderson. And I know what he's done so far. And I know the numbers look fantastic. Would it be the weirdest thing in the world to see 4 A's hit home runs off of him, in this matchup, and he ends up on the bottom side of a 6-3 decision, so I don't love him because I just don't love the player.
Sure.
Right. I get what he's doing right now, but at some point or another, the shine's going to come off.
A's are 4th in isolated power against left-handed pitching. They're, again, 4th highest. Batting average, or WOBA, they're 23rd. Batting average, they're 28th. and strikeout rate against left-handed pitching, they're fifth. So they're pretty terrible across the board, except for that power number.
Yeah.
Just something about the homers there. And a guy like Brent Rooker just hammering lefties was the only reason. But at 8,200, I think you could see Anderson be pretty popular on this slate. If you're going underneath, I highlighted Brandon Pfaadt. Pfaadt is a guy that the underlying numbers on him all look pretty good. You go look at his xFIP, his Sierras, the expected ERA. They're all right in the threes here. Pitching better. 0 strikeouts against Washington is obviously a concern. And Minnesota's lineup, the way they've been hitting, not really looking to go against them here. So this would be one of the few times I don't really look to Brandon Pfaadt. Underneath that, though, like even though it's a larger slate, there wasn't any obvious value that I'm looking to go to here. How about for you?
No, not at all. Like Mitch Spence pitched well in his last time out, but I'm not gonna sit and trust him at all. Gibson can be a gas can. Chirinos, Wisenhunt, Heaney. None of these names are even remotely inspiring at all. And I'm sure
Wisenhunt is like mildly interesting just from a prospect perspective. Came into the league top 100 prospect on Baseball America. He pitches in the PCL, very, very tough place to pitch. So you'll go look at a 5 ERA over there and you're like, I don't know. But 12.1 K per 9, and this dude has been striking out everybody at the minor league levels here. 35 games, a 12.7 K per 9 over the last couple of years at the minor league level. So, now you get him in a big pitcher's ballpark. Like maybe some of that, prospect toutiness comes through, right? Second round pick in 2022. So he would actually be a guy that in tournaments, if I'm making 20 lineups, I would consider. Now he's not a huge discount. He's only $7,000. Sometimes we see these guys at like 5 or 6K, but maybe that would be a piece that I would look at, but like not going to go Peterson against the Yankees, not going Wilson versus the Rangers, Gomber versus Houston. No thanks. Hendricks. We were joking about Hendricks in his last start, how he looked like Kerry Wood, but then they pulled him after 5 innings. So, for me, I think Wisenhunt would be the dart throw, but it's not a confident play.
I think he's an intriguing dart throw there. Cubs have actually been striking out a ton lately. Grande and I noted how crazy expensive all these Cubs bats were on the Monday slate.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a team that's striking out 27% of the time over their last like 6 or 7 games. So, I definitely think that there's some something to be had there. But I think even on a 12-game slate, I think I'm pretty content sitting with Hunter Brown and then a possible spend up.
Moving on over to catcher, again, a position we generally look to find some value and we plug in and kind of go from there. You get Gary Sanchez at $3,600, Sean Murphy, $35. So some pretty good guys in this like low 3K tier.
Yeah, I definitely think there's some good guys in the low 3K tier there. Freddie Furman is he's going to be going up against Yanni Chirinos. Furman's actually looked. I
didn't even know Yanni Chirinos is still in baseball. So.
I don't think anybody knew Yanni Chirinos was back in baseball. Right. So, but yeah, listen, you could go Austin Wells against the lefty. He's in a good spot there. I think that there are definitely some spots where you can like legit pay down. As always, we'll see who's catching Hunter Green, because if it is Luke Maile, listen, it is against Mitch Keller, but for $2,700, the possibility ain't terrible.
Yeah, fine by it. So again, we'll be back live 5 p.m. Eastern time. We'll have an idea of who's in and out of lineups, and we'll figure out our catcher spot on that live show. So make sure you tune in. First base, you got obviously the Dodgers up at the top there. Ohtani Freeman, 65 and 58. I don't get the Bellinger price tag here.
That's what we were talking about. He was this price. He was equal. I think he was 5,900 on Monday's slate.
They got Coors pricing in San Francisco, and I'm not really sure why. This is also lefty, so not really interested in that. Obviously, Ohtani Freeman versus Flexen, pretty nice. Matt Olson against Kyle Gibson, even though Gibson's been frustratingly good this year, $5,100. If you're spending up, again, it feels pretty clear where to go.
Yeah, if you're spending up, it's Ohtani, right?
I sent you his StatCast numbers today. He's literally like when I was 12 and I did a creative player, I turned all the stats up to 100. Like that's Ohtani.
That's Ohtani. Yeah. And
what
you named him John and Pemba too, didn't you?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah. And I had the Tony Batista batting stance. So, we had to go out there.
All right. So moving around here, it's kind of funny. There was so much bargain at first base on the Monday slate. There's not as much here on the slate. If you wanted to fade Bobby Miller, I don't mind Andrew Vaughn all the way down at 3,700. But I know I'm like kind of jumping the gun and I'm bypassing all of this mid-tier stuff. But I mean, let's face fact. I mean, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. against Brayan Bello, I'm okay with that. But sure. Pasquantino's looked like crap over the past. I mean, he's hitting like 156 over.
I was trying to figure out why JD Martinez randomly has first base eligibility because he hasn't played the field this year. So
yeah, I don't understand that.
They gave him dual positional eligibility there. Candelario's been really good.
Candelario's been great. We were getting him into the lineup there. It is a tougher matchup against Mitch Keller. Mm-hmm. Goldie's been hitting the ball better. He's got Reynaldo Lopez. Forget Rhys Hoskins. Dude, man, that dude's hitting like 120 over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. It's the Heaney matchup, I guess, would be appealing. Spencer Horwitz, Bayo's troubles come against lefties, so I know this has been Grande's guy with Horowitz there at 39. Carlos Santana against Font at 4K is fine as well. Jose Miranda.
One of the things that we brought up, I don't know if you caught the show. One of the things that we brought up was whether or not, like, because we were looking at Spencer Horwitz, we were also looking at Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and sure. The question is how do they hit breaking balls? Like that's what when you're matching up against the Red Sox pitchers now, you have to look for guys who just hit breaking balls really well because that's what Craig Breslau has this whole pitching staff doing. It's nothing but breaking stuff. And so I think if you've got somebody who is at a discount like Horwitz has been, and Horwitz doesn't, he doesn't like mash for power or anything like that.
No.
He's more of like an on-base guy, get some runs scored, multiple hits in a game. I think, but for the price tag that they're on, if you're going to use them against the Red Sox, you just have to make sure what they're doing against breaking pitches.
Yeah, 100%. Trying to see if we have even an average there. We have Bello throwing sinkers 40% of the time. 30% of the time he's throwing his changeup, and 30% of the time he's throwing.
I know what he's throwing. My question is what are they hitting? Like, what's the hot pitch for Kiner-Falefa and Horwitz?
Sure.
I should have looked that up between yesterday and today, but I was more excited about the fact that I got Willy Adames at plus 375 to hit a home run off of Michael Lorenzen.
Yeah. That was like the first thing I noticed as well. I did all the pick'em articles, and we took that play everywhere we could. So Nathaniel Lowe, Bryce Wilson, $3,500.
I like that.
Something to look at there.
Shanwell, the lefty against Mitch Spence.
Yep. Got that there. And Dubon is in the lineup. 3,400 against Gomber's pretty good. Let's see. What else we got? Your new Yankee, JD Davis, not yet on the Yankee lineup. Black's the lefty. Soderstrom, 2,400 against Anderson.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of where we were at, looking at Soderstrom. That's lefty though. So I don't necessarily know if I want to do that. Ben Rice against David Peterson at 2,700. I mean, he's not, he's kind of like Horwitz, right? He's like the on-base kid. He's runs scored. He's, hopefully multiple hits, but he's not a big power guy.
Yeah. All right. Second base. Up at the top, Albies, Marte, Altuve versus Gomez, probably your chalk play at 5,100.
Yeah, Altuve is definitely the chalk play there. Albies against Gibson is fine. We'd still prefer him against lefties. Same thing with Ketel Marte. So I'm okay there. Altuve is the as the top spend up. Be very interesting to see. I mean, I don't mind Marcus Semien against Bryce Wilson. I think that's a fine spot to be. You've got a good matchup here for Cronenworth if he can get out of his own way. Your boy Willie Castro, again, he's been, looking a little better again lately. He's kind of getting a little streaky. And if you're worried that Brandon Pfaadt just keeps pitching to contact, well, that might help out a little bit here.
Yeah, better split for him against lefties, but still not terrible. Estrada versus Hendricks is 37, and Manuel Valdez gets Gossman at 36. Definitely could be a hit or miss play if you're playing Boston there.
Mm-hmm.
Go for a little bit cheaper. Gavin Lux against Flexen's 34. I do like Zach Geloff here. I understand the numbers this year don't look great. He missed a lot of time due to injury, but do you remember when this kid came up last year?
Yeah.
Like, he was on fire. So I wouldn't mind taking a stab here with Geloff at 3,100 if I was looking for like a one-off punt. I think this kid's pretty talented. So for 3,100, I don't mind that play.
Yeah, I don't mind that play either. I think that's perfectly fine. There's really nothing further down at second base, so I think we can kind of bypass that.
Third base has Royce Lewis, man, who's had basically a homer every other game.
Yeah, what was it? If you bet $100 on Royce Lewis to hit a home run in every game that he's played, obviously, you'd be up like $2,800 right
$2,800, yeah. Yep. And you can keep doing that because why not? $6,200 is there. Obviously, Devers at 57. Riley been pretty good lately, $5,200. Machado gets the Gore matchup. For me, it's Lewis and probably Riley if I was picking two here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're staying in the 5K range. You didn't trickle down to 4,900.
Not yet. We'll leave Morel for a second here.
All right, yeah. So I'll stay with you on Lewis and Riley here. My two favorites, but Chris Morel homered on Sunday. James and I said he was an automatic into our lineup for Monday. Yep. It was so funny too because he hit the home run like right after he and I logged off and finished the recording. So that would have been a great moment. But again, homered on Saturday, homered on Sunday. Probably coming on Monday too. Again, if he hits a home run on Monday, he will be locked into my lineups on Tuesday until he doesn't homer again.
This guy goes on stretches like nobody we've seen when it comes to hot and cold streaks.
It's crazy.
Christopher Morel. So
crazy.
I haven't played much of like Michael Garcia, but I don't think much of Yanni Chirinos anymore. So if you wanted to go Michael Garcia as part of a Royal stack, you can. We talked Candelario already. Bregman against Gomber's pretty interesting. I know Gomber's been halfway decent this year, but 4,200 for Bregman feels pretty good.
Not as good as Josh Smith for $4,000 against Bryce Wilson.
Yeah. What do you think? Josh Jung, is he going to be back? Let's see.
No, they shut him down over the weekend.
Again. Okay.
They shut him down because he was experiencing some more soreness in his wrist. Now, they said that they expected something like that, but I guess it was bothering him enough over the weekend that they were like, that's it. We're going to shut you down for a few days and we'll see what happens beyond that.
Definitely both those guys at 4K. Joey Ortiz and Josh Smith are pretty good in their spots at 4K.
Very much so. Very, very much so.
Let's see here. Talked to Miranda already. Kevin Biggio versus Flexen's 33.
No.
Such a hater.
Yeah, man. Like, you call me a hater if you want, but come on.
All right, that's all I got down there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, are we really, hey, Jared Triolo, he's got,
Yeah, not for me.
1 for 3 in his career against Hunter Green.
Shortstop.
Bobby
Witt, Ellie De La Cruz up top. CJ Abrams is there.
We talked about Ellie being, like at the starting end of, like, we do this with Christopher Morel. You kind of have to do this with Ellie De La Cruz. Friday, Saturday, both Monday multi-hit game. No, it was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday multi-hit games, I believe, right?
Yeah, he Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday rather.
Saturday, Sunday multi-hit games. We're waiting to see what he was going to do on Monday, but I mean, listen. It's if you're stacking reds, like we talked about doing it with like Steer and Candelario, and if you wanted to turn around and add Ellie to the mix, you could definitely do that. So if we're looking at at some reds to think about stacking against Mitch Keller, I'd be okay with it. But I'm not going to do it with Ellie as a one-off at $6,000 against a strong pitcher like this. this.
Sure. No, I agree. It's, I really like Seager, obviously at $5,100. I think most will look probably in this matchup against Wilson
Yes.
to get some Rangers in their lineup. Volpe against Peterson at 46 feels pretty good there.
Sure does. Sure
let's
does.
see.
O'Neal Cruz going up against Hunter Green also looks pretty tasty.
I was going to
in
say,
Great American.
102 miles an hour going in, 127 miles an hour going out.
Going out.
Something like that with that O'Neal Cruz. Hamilton is always an interesting candidate because he can get on and steal multiple bags. They have Weiler Abreu back, and they hit him second, so Hamilton got bumped down the lineup, down to like 7 or 8 over the weekend. So that's at least something to note because he was hitting second before Weiler Abreu came back. But they can put a lot of lefties in their lineup with him back and against Gossman there. Jeremy Pena, I know he's been slumping big time, but Gomber at 41 feels still like a good matchup for Pena if you want to get some Houston bats. I mean, getting Pena and Bregman in the low 4Ks helps you spend up to get Altuve and whatnot in your lineup there. So
sure.
Can mentioned Smith already at 4K. What else are you thinking?
I'm not really, I'm I mean, there was talk about whatchamacallit, whether or not they were going to bring or leave Peraza up. I think they sent him back down though. I'm just looking down at the bargain bottom.
Yeah, there's nothing
disgusting end here, but there's nothing down here.
No, there's not.
There's nothing down here at short. To the outfield we go, and I'll tell you what, I mean, it's again. It's a shame that it's lefty on lefty because I did this yesterday also, and I immediately went to find where they had Jackson Merrill because this dude, if you've watched him, I mean, 6 home runs in the month of June already, and he's done it steadily, right? From he hit like 278 in the first month, he did 275 in the second month, hitting like 275 in the month of June, but all of a sudden the power is just completely ticked up.
Yeah.
So usually when you see like a kid like that power up, it comes at like the expense of his batting average, strikeout rate, nothing of the sort. But this is now his second lefty in a row, and I'm not all in on the lefty on lefty crime, but I just always feel like I gotta mention him.
Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, listen, one of the top prospects, obviously in baseball. Now he's going to he's been starting to heat up. I think him and Wyatt Langford.
Yep.
We talked, Rangers here. Wyatt Langford, 3,600, 350,000 OPS, 2 homers and 5 steals over his last 10. Again, this guy was number 2 or number 3 overall pick. Yeah. I think it was in the draft or something like that. So, definitely interested in some Wyatt Langford here at 3,600 if we're just kind of going, right to some value plays. It's obviously the top guys are the top guys, right?
Yeah. I keep thinking about how we're going to get Ohtani into this lineup.
Right.
Right. So I'm like immediately thinking value at that point, especially because we're going to, we're getting a bargain on Hunter Brown, but we're still going to have to pay up a little bit for pitching.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's definitely some good options up here. Jarren Duran is like 5th in WAR in baseball right now. Like he is playing out of his mind. You got him at $5,400. We know the Dodgers are all going to be in play.
Yep.
Let's see.
Judge against Peterson, obviously, also if you want to, if you're going to go up, on that front there. But then, I mean, listen, I think when you go then from Duran, we said, Teoscar obviously is going to be in play. Heliot Ramos, I don't mind him. I know it's not a great ballpark for power, but I still think that Ramos is in a good spot here. Lewis Robert could be in a good spot here as well.
Yeah, I'm fine with the upside for the power there with both of those guys. Jock Peterson, he's a splits guy, right? He really only plays against right-handed pitching, and I know that it's Joe Ryan. But his numbers this year are pretty heavy, kind of maybe even unexpected for Jock Peterson against right-handed pitching this season. Like they're better than even what his usual career splits have been. And if my computer wasn't just fussing with me, could prove it to you. 299 batting average this year, 218 ISO, 517 slug against right-handed pitching. Again, the last couple of years against righties, 240, 270, 230. But the dude is really locked in against right-handed pitching right now. So if Joe Ryan is not certainly been susceptible to giving up runs, giving up home runs. And you mentioned, the Diamondbacks, when you've picked for them or picked against them, they haven't necessarily always worked for you here. But I definitely like Peterson at 46 as a one-off play. What else are you looking in the mid-tier?
Mid-tier range. I mean, again, Spencer Steer, if you wanted to, if you were looking to stack in some reds. I actually don't mind Lane Thomas against Hugh Darvish. I think Thomas is a very underrated guy. He's not like a big power dude, but I definitely don't mind that, in that range. But as I kind of like look further down, I don't know, man. Like this mid-tier, I mean, you can go Brian Reynolds if you want to go up against, Green is a possibility. I don't really like much until I get towards like Brent Rooker at 42.
Yeah, that's fine by me. Again, Rooker, the power can be there against lefties for sure. Profar, big numbers against lefties.
Yep.
I mentioned Weiler Abreu. He was second in AL Rookie of the Year odds behind Louis Hill. So obviously he was having a pretty good season before his injury just recently came back. Buxton's been really good. You mentioned Jackson Merrill, even with a lefty.
Pages not bad here against Chris Flexen. I think that's a good spot to be in as well. And Jesse Winker, he hits from the left side of the plate going up against Darvish. Might be a little bit sink or swim for you, but Darvish has been known to give up some homers.
Sure. Let's see here.
Wow, Eloy does not have a day-to-day tag on him. Good for him.
I'm not gonna touch that though. He's gonna hurt himself. Let's see. Larnick there against Fotts, 38. Got Rosario versus Darvish as well. I know he has struggled, but Darvish coming off the IL could be something to attack there.
Yeah, if Matos is in the game, he's somebody that would intrigue me also against Hendricks. Like, again, I'm not gonna be afraid of Kyle Hendricks because he had 5 no-hit innings going for it. It was just sun shines on a dog's ass at least once.
Yeah, for sure.
Jared Kelnick, lefty bat, probably going to be in the leadoff spot again. Kelnick sitting at 36 right now against a very hittable Kyle Gibson.
Yeah, works for me. As long as he's not crashing into walls, making terrible outfield plays, I think we're.
Oh God, did you see that play over the weekend? He just had
one of the worst things I've ever seen.
I immediately texted my buddy Matt, who's like a diehard Braves fan, and I was just like, "Boy, Kelnick really got a good beat on that one, didn't he?"
We mentioned obviously Langford already. Hayward against Flexen's 35 is pretty decent. Let's see. Any others down here? Jake Myers, 33 against Gomber.
Jake Myers against Gomber. That's nice and cheap there.
I mean, if you're not in on Miller, Sheets is 3,300 as well.
Meh.
Chas McCormick's 31 versus Gomber.
Chas McCormick.
Chorio against the lefties, 31
He's woken up nicely as well. So there's really good value down here. In the bottom half, not like, phenomenal, but I mean, there's just good value to be had.
Yeah. So, all right. So definitely a lot we can discuss here. And again, we'll be back live at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So let's get a lineup build. I know we were in on Hunter Brown. We wanted to get Ohtani in. So we'll just plug Ohtani at first, I guess, because there's a lot of value in the outfield.
Yeah.
What do we want to do for our SP2 here?
For the time being right now, let's pay up. You want to take Cole at 92 or do you want to look a little lower than that? You're dying to go Tyler Anderson, aren't you?
I do like Tyler Anderson, but I'm not dying for it. I'd rather go Lugo.
Put him in because then what we'll do is let's mix and match.
Well, the thing is, I wasn't going to do that because I was going to play Geloff at second.
Oh, well, before we play Geloff at second, let's pump the brakes a little bit here on Geloff.
Well, I like Zach Geloff, and you weren't in on Anderson. All right, we'll go Anderson. Catcher, we were just going to spend down whatever the cheap guy was. Awesome.
Well, let's look at where else we wanted to go. We wanted to get Langford in there, and we both said that we really like Corey Seager at 51.
Yep.
So it's one spend up and one spend down. We can do that. Let me just look. I'll tell you what. Let me look at second base. Who stuck out to me at second base the most? I guess there really wasn't anybody that like really. I mean, I'd go Estrada, but
we had other value outfielders too, so that kind of like helps.
All right, so then do yourself here. Here you go. Take Anderson out. Put Geloff in at second because I know you dying to do it.
I'm not dying. I was making the lineup work.
It.
I got Josh Smith in at third. You know, like.
Oh, so now we're going 3-man Texas Rangers stack, huh?
Yeah, we put Lugo in there. We have 2 outfielders at 34 if we wanted to go in that direction. Otherwise, I was fine kind of doing maybe something like this. Not to steal, not to do a show takeover here on you, Howard, but Altuve.
Now you're going for what, Chaz or Jake? Which one?
Chaz down there, and then that gives us another $3,200 outfielder. Let's see, Choria.
Okay.
Right, get Seager, Smith, Langford, a little 3-man Texas stack. We got a little 2-man Altuve, McCormick against Gomber. Tyler Anderson, Hunter Brown in there. If we were gonna do the double spend down at the starting pitcher position, it's not terrible, right?
It is not terrible. I mean, we'll, kind of maneuver around there, and
we still got Ohtani in there, right? Ohtani, Seager,
still got Ohtani, and we pay up for Seager, and we pay up for Altuve. So we do have some good spend ups.
Yeah. So again, just an example lineup for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Be back at 5 p.m. We'll do this all over again. We'll build a new lineup when the lineup's officially out. Myself and Henry Wilson will be on that, so make sure you check that out. Howard, thanks for coming on here today.
Thanks for having me, John.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Good luck with your early research and lineup builds, everybody. We'll see you at 5 o'clock.